Hi, welcome back to the Financial FOFU Podcast. Here for another exciting episode. Sarah doesn't like intros, so I'm trying to make them more interesting. I'm like, oh, come on.
Don't like your intros. Come on now. Sometimes it's not welcome back, Cotter. For those that listened to our earliest season, every time Trudy did an intro, I was like, welcome back. Welcome back, Cotter, every single time. So we've progressed past that at least.
So today we are going to talk about how to network. And this is one of those things that I think comes a little bit more naturally to some than it does to others.
That's me. How are you going?
And I think it's something that for a lot of people they shy away from because it's just not something that they enjoy and they find it hard. So we thought we'd have a little bit of a chat about some of the ways that you can network and why it doesn't have to be as scary as maybe some people make it out to be.
I think you're right. Like, ultimately, to start with, it's depending on your personality. Like, but then again, like, people look at me and go, "You're so extroverted," and the reality is that I'm actually not. But I had to become that way to be successful in business. Yeah. I have times where I don't want to talk to anyone, including you, Trudy. Like, I'm an introvert, extrovert, but if I'm at a networking event, I'm there for a reason. Like, the things that I choose to invest my time in, especially if they're, well, you know what, whether they're personal or whether they're work related, if I'm going to be there, I want to be present, I want to be conscious, and I want to feel value from that event. So if I'm going to a networking event for business and business is the destination, that's why I'm there, then I'm going to make sure I get my value for money, which means I can't sit in the corner and ignore everybody else in the room.
Doesn't really work very well. Your goal is to network.
So the fastest way to build yourself a network is to actually get out of the space that you're in, whether that's your office, whether that's your home, whether that's you're on site with clients, existing clients. Like, you're not always going to find new clients from existing clients unless you're really good with your customer journey to get your repeat referrals and repeat business. So you have to attend events.
Yep.
It's that simple.
Yep. And events might be a networking event. It might be a trade show. It might even just be going to a training session that's got multiple different industries in that are potentially your customers, or even just building the networks within your own industry can be really useful as well.
So 3 months ago, I went to a council organised event on Facebook ads. Now, guys, I know how to run Facebook ads, but I didn't go because I needed to know how to run Facebook ads. I went because I thought maybe I could learn something. Maybe there's something I didn't know about. You know, everything changes so regularly with the algorithm and everything. Maybe I'd learn something new. But I went because it was an organised event in my local area and they're harder to find here. We get less of them and less opportunities. And I went because of that. And I've made some great contacts out of just going there and showing up. And there was barefoot bowls after. So there's like 30 people in the room and only like 8 stayed after. And it's the ones that stayed after to build relationships and have a conversation that were present were the ones that are now getting work from me. It's literally the guy that did the session stayed for the barefoot bowls, and now I have engaged him as one of my suppliers to do some work for me with regards to my new course. So networking and attending events isn't just showing up like you have to be in your body. If your body is there, you have to be present and you have to start conversations with people.
And I think it's also really important to have the right mindset. I think if you're going to these events I've got to find customers, it's not going to work. That's not the point of this. The point is to build relationships and networks. And maybe one day down the track, yes, maybe that person may turn into a customer or you might become a customer of theirs. But if that's your goal walking into the room, you're going to give off a different energy to if you're just walking into the room to build some relationships and some networks in general.
So when I first met Trudy, what year is it? 2024. What year was that? 2017? 7 years ago?
17, probably, yeah.
Wow. So when I first met Trudi, I had a contact who was in my network. I was another accountant in the local area where I lived at the time. I used to catch up with him from time to time. I had known him for 10 years prior. Occasionally we referred each other work. It wasn't a big thing. Like, he wasn't a primary referrer for me. But I liked who he was and I enjoyed his company, and we'd always have a great conversation. So we'd go out for lunch once every 3 years. It wasn't a regular thing. And Trudy knew him. Were you doing some work for him, I think, maybe?
And then with his wife.
Pardon?
I used to play netball with his wife.
Right. So there you go, right? So not even work related in terms of that. And he suggested that you reach out to me. Was that how it started, I think?
Yeah, it was. He knew that
and then,
you were looking for referral partners, and he knew that I was just starting out in business, so I had capacity.
Yeah.
And that maybe there was a synergy there.
Yeah. And I don't remember whether it was me that contacted you or you that contacted me, but I know that he gave me a heads up that you may be in touch. Maybe it was you that contacted me. And then, rest is history, as they say, because we built a relationship. And we caught up regularly, like once a month for maybe 3 or 4 months before the first client was referred, before I changed my accounting across to you, before you referred me a client, and then I started sending all my clients to you because you knew what you were doing, right? So I tested you out first. I made sure that I was happy and comfortable to send my clients to you through personal use. And then, a couple of years after that, we started this podcast. Like, relationships take time, but they also require you to be involved and active and present. And it's not one-sided. Like, this is the other thing. Often people say, oh, how did you get your financial planner referral partner, Sarah? And I'm like, well, I've known him for 10 years, or I've known him for 12 years. Or the other one, oh, he was referred to me by another friend, and we just started like chatting before anyone sent business. Like, we'd go out for drinks, or like, as you said, it's not about you don't go to those events looking for business. Sure, it's the reason you're actually attending, but it's not how you approach it when you're in the room.
No.
Can we quickly talk about elevator pitches?
Sure.
So, for a while there, everyone was like, you need an elevator pitch. You need to be able to quickly engage with someone and tell them what you do and what you come up with, and and then it's got to be 30 seconds, and it's got to it's got to leave them knowing everything about what the outcome was. How do you feel about elevator pitches?
I think that in the right place and time they can be useful, but I don't think it's the be all and end all, because as we just said, you're not about pitching your business in that first time that you meet someone. It's about building that relationship, and maybe down the track you need to give the pitch.
Yeah. And the thing for me personally is I'm never a hard sell person. Like, even if you came to me for a specific product as a commercial loan or a car loan for your business, I would be like, these are your options. This is what I think you should go with and why. This is your second choice. It's up to you who you choose. Or please choose this one because it'll make my life easier, right? And I think elevator pitches, I approach them the same way. People often say, oh, Sarah, what do? You kind of already know what I do, so you don't have to ask the question because I've led it into the conversation without it being a hard sell. But my favorite probably meme out there for business is the Princess Bride meme. Have you heard of it, Trudi?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Inigo Montoya. Do you remember Inigo Montoya, who was Mandy Patinkin in The Princess Bride? So he gives you a really good guide to networking success with an elevator pitch, and that is a polite greeting. You let them know your name, a relevant personal link if there is one, to build relationship, and then you manage their expectations. And his elevator pitch goes like this. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And that's how I view elevator pitches, with how you obviously don't threaten to kill them. Probably not the right place to start. But you can say, hi, I'm Sarah. I actually help your business get on the right direction for more profit. We have mutual friends, or I've been following you online for a while. I've been looking forward to meeting you. Can we catch up for a coffee sometime?
Yeah.
It's really simple with how you approach it. And I think that's my line of the year. It's really that simple, because a lot of people overcomplicate these things from time to time, trying to make it into something that it's not, or build it up. And if you're already a nervous person that hates to talk to people and you're an introvert, overthinking everything is going to make it worse and harder to connect.
Yeah. And so if we go back to our networking event that we're attending, and we were saying the key thing is to start conversations, I also find that those conversations don't necessarily have to be business related. I often connect with people on the basis of they have kids of a similar age. And so we can have a bit of a chat around that, and it just starts the conversation going, and inevitably it ends up back being business related, but it just
requires you to have pre-knowledge, right?
Necessarily.
You have to have pre-knowledge that they have kids, or they have to have said something that leads you to know that they've got kids of the same age.
But often having
Another
something
one
like
that
that in your
works
back
really
pocket is
well.
an icebreaker. And even if I do it myself, you know, sorry, I'm late. I had to
You
drop the
can
kids
say,
off.
I've got an 8-year-old kid
Or I've
my
got to leave
child, blah,
early
blah,
because
blah.
I've got there's easy ways to drop that in the
Yeah.
conversation. Inevitably, somebody comes back
So-
with, so do I, how old are yours? And it's almost an icebreaker.
Yes, but if you don't have children, which is
If you
me,
don't have
hi
children,
everyone,
maybe
I have
it's a
dogs, so
sport.
you can use dogs or cats, right? Or sport.
Maybe it's a sport.
But
Did
I
you watch
actually
the game on
find
the weekend? Did you see the grand final of the tennis? Any of those sorts of things.
I like a more personal approach than that, Trudy. I find that small talk, and I'm not interested in that type of small talk. So I will go something along the lines of, I really like your glasses. Where are they from?
Yep. Compliments.
And you'd be surprised how quickly it opens a conversation with someone because A, you've given them a compliment. It immediately removes the elephant in the room, or the polar bear, and breaks the ice. How much does a polar bear weigh? I have used that before, by the way, when it was a really stiff room, and everyone laughed, and that solved that. How much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice. Who wants to start a conversation? Anyone? But you've got to have a couple of lines that you've had prepared, things that I prepared earlier. To be able to open a conversation when you're feeling like you're a deer stuck in headlights and you don't know how to start a conversation with someone you've never met before.
But the point is, it doesn't have to be, I'm an accountant. It can be something that's...
Probably don't lead with that.
Hey, we're not as boring as people think we are.
Personality. Count it with a personality. They're a rare one. No, I look, this is an in-joke. I hang shit on Trudy all the time for the fact that she's an accountant and that sometimes her personality comes to the forefront before her accountancy mindset.
But my point is, you don't have to lead with what you do for a living. You can lead with something
don't
completely
lead with what
unrelated
you do.
to that. Yeah.
But also, when you lead with what you do, you're making it about you and not about them.
Yeah.
And that's really, if you're wanting to build relationship in any conscious listening or effective communication, you will be told to ask a question that actually leads that person it diverts the conversation to them. It's also harder for them to ignore you if you've asked them a specific question about them. If I say to you, I really like your glasses, Trudy, where did you get them from? And you just don't answer that, or you say no, or it's going to be weird and awkward.
Yeah.
Personally, I enjoy those moments when it's then weird and awkward because it tells me you're not present, which is the whole purpose, which then also tells me you're not actually there for a relationship.
But it also makes it easy for me when someone comes to me with a comment like that, because it breaks the ice and I can go, thanks, I just got them, or
how much does a polar bear weigh?
But it's easy to reply with something more than yes or no.
Exactly. It's an open question, open questions, not closed questions. Like, this is back to your standard interview style, or how do you engage with people? I know it's really annoying that we have to be on all the time, and how do I have enough, energy in my life to think about these things? I don't. It's autopilot. I have planned and trained these skills over 2 decades of business to enable me to be able to be comfortable in a room of people I've never met before. And I'm not telling you that I walk in going, yeah, I feel amazing. I don't. Like anybody else, I walk in and go, oh, all right, here we go again.
Yeah.
Time to have a crack, Sarah. Like, especially, like, I moved to a new area 2 years ago. I had to put my big girl pants on, drive down the road 100 kilometers and introduce myself to a bunch of strangers and work the room as if I knew them all for years, which I didn't. And by the way, they all did know each other for years, which meant it was even harder to crack in. But I did, and I will continue to do it because I need to do it, not only for my own sanity, but I work alone in an office with a dog. Like, I actually need to have the connection, and to do that, you've got to be present. And I suppose the next thing that comes after that is getting their contact details and following up with them after an event to get the best return on the investment of your time, and sometimes money, because you have to buy your ticket and pay for your fuel costs to get there, is to build the relationship by contacting them immediately after the event. So I always get their contact details. If they don't have a card, I write down their name and their website address in the notes of my phone. And then I go home, and in the next 2 days after the event, I send them an email. And I ask them if there's it was nice to meet you. I really enjoyed chatting. Could we catch up for coffee sometime? You usually get a yes, I'd love to. And then you never hear back from them. So then I diarize for 2 weeks later to email them again and say, is there a time that works for you? Can we lock one in? My standard line is, if we don't lock a date in now, it's never going to happen, because life's just going to pass us by, because that's the normal thing.
Very true.
I also say that to my friends, by the way. But in reality, that's how I start it. And then if you still can't lock them in to a time to catch up, I send them a referral where appropriate. And I make sure that person knows that I sent them. Me. So the client, the client tells them, I got your details from Sarah, or Sarah said you'd probably be a good fit, or blah, blah, blah. And then I ask them for a catch up again after they've had a client. And then thus usually builds a good quality relationship. And people might say, oh, that's manipulative. But this is business, and my goal is to clear the noise, and we know there's heaps of noise out there, to clear the noise, to build relationship. I'm interested in building a relationship with you. And the fastest way to cement a relationship is to send somebody some business.
Yeah. And that hopefully gets a return phone call or a return email anyway, saying, thanks, Sarah, for sending me the client or the work. Really appreciate it. And then saying, let's catch up for coffee.
Often it's, can I buy you lunch? Yes, that would be lovely. Now, look, there are instances where it's not reciprocated, though. I've had a couple of professional services where I bust chops for 12 months, get nothing. You move on. You stop sending them business. You find somebody else that fills that hole in your referral network to move on. IP solicitors are a perfect example, or lawyers, I should say. They're attorneys, not even always lawyers. They have passed the bar, but they're a trading IP attorney, not necessarily a solicitor as such. So that's just one professional service. But there's a range of other ones. Like, I have always try and have 2 or 3 referral partners within each sort of segment, because personalities are important. You need to make sure personalities align. Price points is another potential option. Not all of my clients can afford you, Trudi. That is the reality. And not all my clients should be able to afford you either if you're running your business correctly. So having multiple, and some just don't like you, that's an option.
Sometimes the personality just clashes and it just doesn't work out for them.
Some people don't like my personality either. And that's how it should be, because you can't win them all. And if you are winning them all, I'd really like to know what you're doing. Can you please come on our podcast and tell us how you're winning them all? It's not human nature, though, for that to actually occur. And the statistics on that, the laws of probability are low that you'll win every client. So I think when it comes to how to network as a topic, it really should be how to build relationships and how to sustain relationships in business. Because that's really what we're looking for, is outcomes that are sustainable, that have longevity, that lead you to think, what can we do together next? I mean, we build a podcast together. I have another client that I am looking at doing a summit, an industry summit with. So there's a whole range of different things that come out of networking. Sometimes my networks have been built solely on Facebook, LinkedIn, and then online meetings and phone calls before I've ever met the person. I've had 2 or 3 years. Obviously, COVID made it worse, but just geographical location makes it worse as well, right? Where I met the person for the first time after 3 years.
And
that happens
sometimes
too.
The network as well is not even about doing business with them, but just because you want to have someone that you can bounce business ideas off. Is it someone in your industry? For example, accountants are always ringing each other going, I've got this quirky issue. Have you dealt with that before? So having that person that you can ring in and bounce that off,
business
or even
colleagues.
just on a more general basis, I'm thinking of doing this in my business. What do you think of that? Or how do you think I go about it? Having a great network around you can really help with all those sorts of things, especially when you're in a small business. Who else do you talk to about these sorts of things?
It can be very isolating. And that's why I said to you, I work in my office on my own with my dog. Like, I have to get out and you have to meet people. And even if it's just a quick coffee, half an hour, break the mental mindset state that you're in to reset and let you go again. And with the move from working in offices to working from home being more prevalent for more people than it ever used to be, I think it's again important to reiterate that 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever it is in your office, head down, bum up, working away isn't always good for the mindset, and it's not as efficient as you could be, because you can get in your own way effectively and come out the other side. So we'd love to hear any more of your networking or business relationship building tips. please feel free to drop us a line, engage and interact with us. We love the idea of something that we haven't considered because maybe we can use it ourselves.
And we like building our network too, so we do like to hear from you guys from that regard as well. Network with us by dropping us a line.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we are open and we encourage it. Like, come to one of our events that we run. Join us, be present, be active, be connected. That is how we all move forward and get along. And I can't spruik mouth about it. Have some pre-existing lines. Find yourself a local event. If there's nothing listed on any websites, council, go to the events near me section of Facebook and find what's coming up, because you'll be surprised. There's something coming up that you can go to. So we've got our next episode on, what's it on, Truth?
What is poverty consciousness in business? I'm interested to learn a bit more about this one myself.
Very interesting topic about how people view money and its impact in your business.
Yeah.
Very interesting topic we'll be covering next episode. So until then, guys, have the best week and we will speak to you again soon.
Bye.
Okie dokie. That's 3.
You're still recording?
I think it's all up.